Orphan was denied scholarship until a mysterious donor stepped in. They told him hope had an expiry date, but someone he'd never met rewrote his fate. They say life is unfair, but sometimes it is cruel on purpose. At 16, while other kids worried about sneakers and school trips, Eli worried about where his next meal would come from, and whether the ceiling above his head would survive another rainy night. The orphanage called it temporary shelter, but Eli knew the truth. Temporary often becomes forever, when nobody is looking for you. Every morning, Eli walked 5 kilometers to school, not because he loved walking, but because the bus fare was the same money he used to buy bread. His uniform was faded. His shoes had a hole in the sole. Yet he carried something precious in his hands. A brown, torn folder with neatly arranged certificates inside. He guarded that folder like it contained his heartbeat. 'Cause it did. Inside were proof that he wasn't just another orphan. He was the top student in his class. First position. Again and again. When teachers asked him why he tried so hard, he always smiled and said, "So I don't end up where life placed me." But deep inside, Eli was terrified. 'Cause trying hard doesn't always change your destiny. One hot afternoon, the school principal called Eli into the office. His heart pounded. He thought he was in trouble for wearing the same uniform for too long. Instead, the principal slid a paper across the desk. Scholarship form. A full scholarship to a prestigious private college. Tuition. Accommodation. It was everything Eli had ever prayed for. And more. The principal said gently, "You deserve this, Eli. Your scores are exceptional." That night, Eli didn't sleep. He stared at the cracked ceiling of the orphanage dormitory, whispering dreams into the dark. "If I get this scholarship, I'll never sleep hungry again. I'll become someone. I'll come back for the others." For the first time in years, hope visited his bed. The scholarship interview was held in a tall glass building, the kind of building Eli had only seen in movies. The floors were shiny. The air smelled like success. He sat on a bench, clutching his torn folder, surrounded by students in suits and polished shoes. Their parents stood beside them, whispering encouragement. Eli stood alone. When his name was called, he walked into a room of 3 judges. They smiled politely. They asked about his grades, his dreams, his background. He answered honestly, "I live in an orphanage. I study by candlelight when there's no power. I want to become a doctor, because I know what it feels like to watch people die without help." The room fell silent. One of the judges cleared his throat. "That's admirable." They thanked him. He bowed politely and left. Eli walked out of the building feeling light. Not because he was confident, but because, for once, someone had listened. 2 weeks later, the letter arrived. The envelope was thin, too thin to carry hope. Eli tore it open with trembling fingers. "We regret to inform you that you were not selected." His eyes blurred. He read it again and again. The words did not change. He sat on the orphanage steps as the sun set, watching other kids laugh and play. For a moment he wanted to cry, but no tears came. Only a heavy, silent understanding. Merit wasn't enough. That night, the matron found him sitting in the dark. "Maybe next year," she said softly. Eli nodded. But in his heart, something broke quietly. A week later, Eli stayed behind to clean the principal's office. As he wiped the desk, he overheard two teachers whispering in the hallway. That scholarship slot went to the senator's nephew. But the orphan boy had better scores. Scores don't open doors. Connections do. Eli froze. The cloth slipped from his hand. So that was it. Not because he wasn't good enough, but because he wasn't connected enough. He walked back to the orphanage that evening, with his head down. For the first time, the future felt like a locked door, with no handle. 3 days later, the orphanage gatekeeper called out to him. "Eli, there's a letter for you." Eli frowned. Nobody ever wrote to him. The envelope was thick, heavy. There was no sender's name, no stamp from any school, just his name, written in careful ink. Eli K. His heart began to race. He stared at the envelope, unsure whether to open it. Inside was a neatly folded letter, and beneath it, a document with a golden seal. Eli's hands shook as he unfolded the paper. His eyes scanned the first line, and suddenly his breath caught in his throat, because the letter said something that made no sense at all. What Eli read that night would change his life forever. But the question remained. Who was the mysterious donor? And why did they choose him? The letter trembled in Eli's hands. The room felt suddenly smaller, like the walls were leaning in to hear what fate had written for him. He read the first line again. "Your scholarship has been fully approved. All academic, living, and medical expenses will be covered for the duration of your studies." Eli's breath left his lungs. Approved. But he had been rejected. His eyes moved down the page. This support is offered privately and anonymously by a benefactor who believes in your future. Anonymous. No name. No explanation. Just rescue. For a moment, Eli thought it was a cruel joke. Prank. Mistake. But the golden seal on the document looked official. The paper felt expensive. He turned the page. Inside was a bank draft, enough to cover his first year's fees. Eli sank to the floor. The boy who had trained himself not to hope was being asked to believe in miracles. The matron stared at the document. Her eyes narrowed. People don't just give this kind of money to strangers. Eli nodded. His joy was colliding with fear. What if it's fake? What if they take it back? What if I go there and they send me away? The matron picked up the phone and called the scholarship office. The room went silent. Every ring sounded like a drumbeat in Eli's chest. "Yes, hello. I'm calling to confirm a private sponsorship for a student named Eli K." The matron's eyes widened slightly. "You have it on record. Fully paid. Confirmed by the board." She slowly lowered the phone. "It's real." Eli covered his mouth. His knees weakened. Real. For the first time, life wasn't slamming a door in his face. It was opening one. But doors that open suddenly often hide storms behind them. 2 days later, a black car arrived at the orphanage. Didn't honk. It didn't announce itself. Just waited. A man in a dark suit stepped out. Not old. Not young. His face was calm, unreadable. "I'm here regarding Eli K." The matron stood stiffly. Eli felt his heart sink into his stomach. The man handed over a slim envelope. "Your benefactor wishes to remain anonymous. But there is one condition." Eli's stomach tightened. "Condition?" The man continued. You must never try to find out who sponsored you. And if you ever discover their identity, you must pretend you don't know." Eli frowned. "Why?" The man hesitated. "Because some gifts are meant to heal wounds, not reopen them." Then he turned and left. The black car disappeared down the road. Eli stood frozen. Why would someone help him, but refused to be known? What wound was so deep that it needed to stay hidden? The private college felt like another planet. Clean hostels, bright lights, libraries that smelled like quiet ambition. Eli walked through the gates with a small bag and a big heart. Students stared. Some whispered, "Is he lost? Who let him in here?" He felt the old shame crawling back. But this time, he walked forward anyway. Classes were harder than anything he'd faced before. Some students mocked his accent. Others laughed when he asked questions. One day, a rich boy smirked. "Scholarship kids always think they belong." Eli said nothing. He went back to his room and studied until his eyes burned. Because this chance wasn't just his. It belonged to the boy he used to be, who studied by candlelight and prayed for escape. One evening, Eli wandered into the old wing of the library. It was quiet, forgotten. On the wall were framed photos of donors, big names, famous families. He walked slowly reading plaques. Then he froze. One name caught his eye. Dr. Samuel Cade. The surname hit him like a slap. His mother's surname. His heart began to pound. Could it be coincidence? He leaned closer to the photo. The man in the frame had kind eyes and a scar above his left eyebrow. Eli's breath stuttered. He had seen that scar before, in an old, torn photograph at the orphanage. A picture of his mother, standing beside a man with the same scar. Eli stumbled back. "Whoa. No, no, no." The condition echoed in his head. "If you ever discover their identity, pretend you don't know." His mind raced. Was the donor connected to his mother? The woman who died when he was 6. The woman whose past was a locked room no one spoke about. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. The gift was no longer just a gift. It was a question. Eli went back to the orphanage during a short break. He searched through the old storage room. Broken boxes. Forgotten files. Finally, he found the matron's old records. His name. His mother's name. Then a letter. Yellowed with age. And sent. The handwriting was shaky. "Samuel, I know you said you can't be part of our lives. I know your family would never accept me. But if anything ever happens to me, please don't let our son grow up believing he was unwanted." Eli's hand shook. "Samuel. Dr. Samuel Cade." His chest tightened painfully. The donor wasn't just a stranger. It was his father, the man who chose distance, now choosing generosity. Eli sat on the floor, anger and gratitude fighting inside him. Why now? Why help from the shadows, instead of standing in the light? Months later, Eli was invited to a medical conference. A guest speaker was announced. Dr. Samuel Cade. The room buzzed with excitement. Eli felt sick. This was the man who shaped his life from a distance. The man who abandoned, then rescued him. He sat in the back row. Dr. Cade walked onto the stage. The scar was there. The same eyes. Eli's chest tightened. Their eyes met. Just for a second, recognition flashed. Not certainty, but suspicion. Dr. Cade's voice wavered slightly before he continued the speech. After the event, the hall filled with students. Eli stood frozen. This was the moment. He could walk up, say the words, break the silence. But he remembered the condition. Some gifts are meant to heal wounds, not reopen them. Eli turned away. He walked out of the hall, with tears blurring his vision. Sometimes love hides because it's ashamed. Sometimes forgiveness is loving someone without demanding they become who you needed. That night, Eli wrote a letter. He didn't address it. He didn't sign it. To the man who gave me a future. I don't know your reasons. I don't know your fears. But I know your gift saved a boy who almost stopped believing in tomorrow. I will become someone worthy of this sacrifice. And even if we never speak, I hope you find peace with the past you couldn't face. He folded the letter and burned it. Some words are not meant to be delivered. They are meant to be released. Years passed. Eli became a doctor. Not the rich kind. The kind who stayed late. The kind who listened. The kind who remembered what it felt like to be invisible. He returned to the orphanage often, paid school fees, fixed the leaking roof, bought books. One evening, he found a young boy sitting alone, torn uniform, bare feet, clutching a brown folder, the same way Eli once did. The boy looked up. They said I'm smart, but smart doesn't change anything. Eli knelt in front of him, smiled softly. It changes everything. You just haven't met the right moment yet. He took the boy's hand, and for the first time, Eli realized something. The mysterious donor didn't just save him. They turned him into a donor too. Some miracles wear human faces. Others hide behind silence. But every miracle carries a responsibility to become one for someone else. Eli was denied a scholarship, but he was given a purpose. And the boy who once begged life for mercy became the man who offered it freely.